Hello! Going to be painting some dolls today, and then I'm going to work on this unconventional materials fashion design challenge. I've got my whole little kit ready to go here. So I want to get some base coats finished today though, because I'm hoping to get, oops, I just put my water in front of my camera. Hoping to get these done in time for my showcase. So I want to get these done first. And let's see what I'm doing here. I'm just going in. Oops, I need to tilt my camera up. Oh, hi, Colleen. Yeah, I thought I'd share in the Blythe vs. Blythe group since I'm working pretty much exclusively on projects for that group today. So I hope that was okay. I'm sure Casey will yell at me if it's not, and I'll take my comment down. But I think it's probably okay since it's sort of like a little bonus demo, because I can kind of go through and describe what I'm doing in case other people want to try it. So, yeah, I'm doing it again. This is my second ever stream, so I'm kind of just trying to figure out how to do this in a way that I can show other people what I'm doing. And I'm not great at being in my camera's line of vision yet, but I'm getting there. So, yeah, when I do these full color base coats, I start with a white layer just to help the paint have something to hold on to. And I tried, there's a little fuzzy in there. I tried gesso with these for the first time, and I don't know if I'm liking how that's working. I don't know if you can tell, but this is a little patchier of a finish underneath the first coat than I'm used to when I use just the white acrylic. So I may go back to using the white acrylic. And then I had problems in my last stream with the gesso in some areas just kind of peeling as I started painting over it. And I don't know if I needed to put a thicker layer on or if I needed to sand the bodies better first. I'm not used to using it, so I'm not really sure what I did wrong. But yeah, I think I'm probably going to stick with doing white acrylic as my base coat for dolls in the future when I do the full color paints. And I do these more on my 18-inch customs a little more regularly than on the few Blythe type customs I've done, just because they're harder to keep from cracking and tearing in the little joints of the dolls. Oh man, this is the trouble with painting when you have a rabbit in your house who's molting. There's little bunny furs just sneaking into my paint. Yeah, I think I probably did something wrong with the gesso, but because I've never used it before, I don't really know. I've been watching a lot of artsy people on YouTube and Twitch trying to get in a mindset to start my own channel, and noticed that they pretty much all use gesso, and I never used it before, and I figured probably better try that and make sure that that's not some amazing thing that I'm missing out on. But I think my personal preference is just going to continue to be for acrylics for the time being. Another fur trying to sneak in there. Alright, so I just like to keep my brush really wet when I do these layers and keep them as thin as possible, and that kind of prevents brush strokes from showing up. But I just shook my paints up real good, so there's also a lot of air bubbles in there. So just kind of have to try and pop the air bubbles without making brush strokes. And that's one of the reasons that I use this is my junky brush. This is not a good brush. And I use this one for base coats because since the bristles are frayed, they don't tend to leave nice smooth brush strokes that are easy to see. And I think that's probably going to be good for this coat on her face. These are custom mixed paints that I'm using too, which I mixed in the first one, my first stream that I did, but that was during the first hour where I accidentally didn't record any sound. So that, I'm sure, was super unhelpful. I made sure I checked my sound this time. My sound is recording. I'm just going to make sure that this is a full even coat on this layer. And then something else that I like to do with this brush especially, is go right up to the hairline and then just kind of nudge the paint under the hairline so that you don't have a line where there's no paint right around the scalp. And the beat up bristles are really good for that because they get in between the little hairs without getting too much actually on the hair. And I'm not really worrying too much about it because one of the things that I do after I finish painting and sealing is take a Q-tip dipped in rubbing alcohol, and that takes the paint off of the hair without taking it off of the face. The body, I like to get it really wet around here and kind of wiggle the legs around so that the paint gets into the joints. And then you blow the excess out. And that kind of helps you from getting the cracking around the joints that you usually have. And that's another reason that I do these super thin layers and just do lots and lots of layers. And I'm thinking, unfortunately, because the gesso didn't really give me a fully white coat, it was kind of patchy, that I'm probably going to have to go over the bodies with white because it's just not, I'm not getting good coverage. You can clearly see the painted on polka dot tights under here. So I may just skip that and do the bodies another day. But it worked, I mean, it worked pretty well on the babies, which are all vinyl, so I don't know if that has something to do with it. But yeah, these are all going to be little aliens. I haven't tried airbrush. I kind of want to. They're a little expensive to get the whole setup though, and then if you end up not liking it, then you spent a lot of money and you have to now figure out how to recoup that cost. So I'm trying to find, kind of putting feelers out there for anybody I know who might have an airbrush that I could maybe borrow to figure out if I like it. And if it's something that I enjoy using, then I would definitely invest in that because I really think that that would be better for doing these full body paints than trying to brush everything on. This green, this is one of my favorites. This is the one I used on the doll that I donated. It's super shimmery when it dries. It looks really nice, but it's also, it's very thin, which, you know, is one of the reasons that it looks as nice as it does, but it makes it a little more difficult to get it all painted on there. There's another hair. I can't blame the bunny because that one's blue, so that one's mine. Yeah, you have to do a lot more layers with this one. So that's why I'm starting with it. so I can come back to it as soon as I finish with the other two and put one more on before I start bringing out my weird fashion materials. Just making sure that I'm staying in my camera's view this time. Yeah, if I hadn't just spent a bunch of money getting needle felting stuff for Christmas, I might have gotten airbrush instead, but I got the needle felting stuff instead. And I do really like the needle felting, so I think that that was probably a good way to go. I'm not good at it yet, but it's enjoyable, so I'm going to keep doing it. Airbrush might be one of those things that I just put on my Amazon wish list, and if somebody wants to buy me one, then I'll just have one, but otherwise, yeah, I think I'm going to probably borrow one from somebody before I buy any parts. Right. I just want to see how this paint looks on my little sculpted charms here, so I'm going to do a couple of these in my blue or my green and purple paints. It's pretty much the only thing that's on my table today that won't be in my showcase. They're kind of just for fun. But yeah, I have little coffins, and then this is my signature blockhead skull. And almost done with the green. I'm not thinning it out on here because I use a very thick coat of gloss varnish on these charms. So any brush strokes that might be there will be removed and smoothed out by the gloss. Alright, and that's green done. Move that aside. I'm going to do purple next. And I remembered this time I grabbed a rag so I can wipe my hands and not contaminate. I also did this little dude on my first stream, and I'm going to seal him, and then he'll be ready to go, and he'll be available in my showcase. This is I think my camera's mirrored, so it's really awkward trying to, there we go. There's his little face. That's really hard to get used to. Alright, I am going to swatch this one out on my palette because I remixed it since my last stream, and I want to see if the bits that I added were helpful. So, oh no, I just lost a bunch of it out of the back of the tote. It's a lot thinner than it was before, so I'm thinking that means that the blue that was previously too thick is probably going to work really well now. I'm just trying to not make a giant mess here, so I'll get back in camera view in a second. This is, oh no. I wasn't expecting it to pour out quite so readily. But that's okay. That means it's going to work better. And that's what this is here for. Alright. So, I'm not sure if that worked as well as I hoped or not. So I added, since the last stream, I added some of this paint. I added about 4 or 5 drops. And you can see this is really highly concentrated glitter. And then I also added some of the white, which is more of a shimmer than a glitter. But I can't really tell. I need to turn my light back on. I just realized my overhead light is off. But this is my base color. And I also have a little of the silver in there. But the silver was not as shimmery as I wanted it last time, so that's why I added the glitter. And it looked like it was a lot more shimmery, but now that it's settled, I'm not sure. I probably should have shaken it a bit. I'm going to do the underside of the baby first so I can kind of see what's going on here. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so it's going to show up more as it dries, I think. I don't know if it'll even show up on camera. But you can kind of see the little tiny bits of glitter in there. My friends is texting me to turn my sound on because, like I said, I streamed my first hour last time without sound. Whoops. It was just me mixing paint and painting on things silently for an hour. I still had people watching. I'm kind of shocked by that. But that's sort of just cemented in my mind that this is something that I really should do if I enjoy it, because clearly people will watch even when there's really nothing going on. So I did check my sound today. Okay, yeah, I can definitely see that this is going to show up. It's also going to be a little more textured, which actually isn't necessarily a bad thing for aliens, because, you know, if their skin's a little textured, well, they're not human, so maybe these aliens just have skin that looks like little sparkly rocks. These are the most awkward to paint. I don't know why I thought that this was the best design of Kewpie dolls to get, because there's so little room in here. And then you have to get in underneath those legs, under the little heels of the feet. This is more of a challenge than I thought when I bought them. I probably should have just bought the regular standing Kewpies, but I thought these were cuter. Apparently other people think so too, because I sold out of them in my last showcase. That was actually one of the first things to go, even before the dresses that I made that I was really excited about were all of my baby Kewpies and all of my mini blockheads. Okay, and now I'm realizing that I painted the bottom first. I have trouble. Oh, were you watching last time? Oh man. Well, I'm glad I got the sound going this time. I tried to put music on it too. It looks like it's coming through, but I don't know how to check that. So I didn't have the music going when I thought to check before I started streaming. So I'm just kind of hoping that that's going. Get all the way around this little baby's head. Okay. I'm just going to skip the bodies. Although this one seems to be covering. Okay, so I'm going to finish that one. It may just be that the green is not dark enough to cover that other body. But that's okay, because I'm probably going to end up keeping the green one anyway. I haven't actually kept one of my minis that I've made yet, so I feel like I probably should. This one, I was planning on rooting, but then I realized if I root her hair after I paint her face may crack. So I'm probably gonna do yarn wefts instead, because I want her to have big fluffy yarn hair. So I think the wefts may work better for that anyway. Not really sure. I've also never rooted. That's something that I really want to try though. So I don't know if it's best to do that on a doll that I've gone to all the trouble to paint. I may save my first rooting for one that I'm just going to do a basic face on. Okay, yeah, you can really, I don't know if I can get this to show on camera. Let me turn this light on. See if that helps. I really want to show that glitter because it's coming through really nice now. But I don't know if it's showing up. But yeah, I think that's going to work out really well. Okay. I need to re-swatch the top of my jar because I don't have this new paint on the top of my jar. Alright, now I'm going to do a body. I don't know if this is going to behave the same way as the other one because of the glitter in it. I'm hoping that's not going to grind too much in these joints. Basically turning these into watercolors with the amount of water that goes into each layer. And that kind of helps it get down into the joint and keeps it nice and thin. Because I see a lot of doll artists that will do, when they do full body paints, they use pastels and layers and layers and layers of sealant, and you have to do, I think the least I've ever seen anyone do to totally change the color of a body was about 8 layers of sealant and pastels, and that's just, it's a little excessive. It's more than I really want to do for a single doll. If I really, really, really wanted to do it and this wasn't working, I guess I could see that being an option, but I just don't want to do that. That's a lot of work. There's another little hair in there. I think this one may actually have dried into the first layer, unfortunately. If I can't get it out without scratching the paint, yeah, I'm just gonna paint over it. Nobody else has to know that it's in there. Alright, so just get that in there good and wet. I got little paint splatters all over my camera now. Alright. It's really hard to get this area that's scraping off. That's the one area I can't seem to get it to stay just because of how the legs are formed. If you move them back to more than a straight up and down position, that's just always going to scrape. So I usually will put some little undies on the doll to just kind of hide that. But yeah, that's one of the reasons that I tend to do this more on the 18-inch dolls, because they have cloth bodies and they don't have all of these joints grinding on top of each other. Do the arms the same way as the legs. Just get it good and wet in there. Wiggle them a bit. Okay, push them down so I can set this to dry. Oh, I'm above the camera again. I'll get better at that. It's just going to take some practice. Okay, do these really quick, and then the blue, and then I'm going to start putting together some spacey clothes. Well, the glitter shows up a lot more on these. Chairs rolling away from me. Now just a tiny bit. I make these for jewelry, but I'm thinking I may, if I get time, do some Blythe pull strings. And then these would be in my showcase too, but it all depends on time, because I'm also doing a Petite Blythe swap this month that I am sewing all of my pieces for, and Petite sewing is mostly by hand. so that's a good chunk of time. Then I want to get these dolls, all of these done in time. And obviously these are more petites, so more hand sewing. I'll put one more coat on this. And then also I signed up for the unconventional materials design challenge, so I may not be able to fit anything else in. But I do have a Blythe specific section in my shop that things will eventually end up in. My rag go. Just want to make sure I get all the paint off so I don't contaminate any colors. Okay, set this over here, and I'm gonna do blue. So this one last time wasn't working so well. You can see how gross and streaky that looks. It was just really, really thick, and I put fabric medium in here along with adding the glitter, so I think it's looking better this time. I think this is probably going to work okay now. I should have cleaned the brush before I open this. Let me just try and wipe this with one hand. More little fuzzies. A little swatch on top of here. So this was my base for this one, and I think the reason it didn't really work really well is because it is a satin paint and not the matte that it was supposed to be, and I didn't notice that apparently when I opened it. So, but it's also got silver in it, and I put some of the white glitter in this one. I'm hoping this is going to work better this time. Let's see. Yeah, it's being much more cooperative already. But I got a lot of bubbles showing up because I just shook it. Alright. Trying to get those bubbles. Can't hold on to anything. Trying to get down in that little neck area. There's a lot of bubbles hiding in there. sure that looked very strange on camera. Oh, this one's covering a lot nicer too, so that's good. Just have to get it to stop making little air bubbles. Alright, get the little area that I just had my finger on. So it's not as shimmery as the other two, even with the glitter mixed in, but I think it's probably okay. I may end up mixing some glitter into a brush on sealant and trying that if I can't get it to do what I want it to do. But I don't think that's going to give the nice finish that the green girl I donated had. So we're going to push that up into the hairline. I think I thinned it a little too much. Yeah, there we go. I'm getting better coverage. And I didn't cover the eyes because I'm going to do them the same way that I did the eyes on the green girl, which is that I painted over them with black and I went outside of the original eye shape, and then I filled in all of the gaps with clear varnish so that it was round again. And I really like how well that worked, so I'm going to be doing that again with these. Those air bubbles, man. Ooh, I kind of like that. I may leave that when I pop the little air bubbles. Can I get her to focus close enough to show that? It almost looks like scales. So maybe I'll take some more bubbles and intentionally put bubbles on her and let them pop. That's kind of fun. Now I gotta not blow too hard because that just exploded them. I want them to leave the texture. Get this up in the hairline a little better. Right. So I'm probably going to do one more coat on each of these before they're fully done. There we go. Okay. Oh, I dried pretty fast. Put it on a little bit thicker. Just because the gesso really peeled off of this one. There's very little left of that base coat. Yep, it's still peeling. Losing the last little bit of it under that arm. Just a bit of water. Right. This side. Forgot to do her legs. Whoops. Oh no, there's a hair in there. Nearly done. Trying to get rid of the brush strokes, and I made a mess again. That's where all the gesso peeled off on this one. I have to be careful until I get the first coat of sealant down. I think that's just going to keep trying to peel. Okay. Alright. That's the blue. And started on this next. A lot of paper. Okay. Get all the paint off of my table. So just get all of my pieces together here. So what I started the other day was I cut this with my Dremel and melted plastic onto the Dremel head and scared myself because I thought I did something wrong. Apparently that's normal. So yeah, I cut it with the Dremel and then I sanded it with one of the sanding heads so that it's not, you know, sharp. And I'm going to be making a headpiece, and it's going to have a cape on the back that trails down. So today I'm going to be gluing some of this hollow paper to the bowl with, get my paints out of the way here. That's my glue. I'm using this. Get it in the frame. And I may have to clip it down with sewing clips. I'm not sure yet. So, not sure how to start with this. I think I'm going to have to cut a piece to go around the back and around the bottom separately because I don't think this is going to fold the way that fabric would. So, I'm going to start, take my little Sharpie here. Trace. Trace that. Oh, it didn't quite go. All right. For a second. Where did I put my paper scissors? I'm going to cut close to the line, but I don't want to cut exactly because I want to make sure it lines right up to the edge. A little closer than that. I'm going to take the middle piece out. There we go. sure it fits. Okay, so it's a little over, so I'm going to go a little bit closer to my Sharpie lines. All right, I want it to hang over on these edges a little bit so I can kind of turn it once it's glued and turn these over so you won't see the orange. So I'm going to take this right up to the Sharpie line because I don't want that to go over. I need every little bit of space so that the neck can fit through. It's really hard to cut slippery paper. Maybe I should have grabbed an extra toothpick for this, but I didn't. Put get that out of the way. Alright, get it all the way up to your edges. This is why a toothpick would have been helpful. I just noticed my music is gone. Put another one on. Alright, I do like to let that sit for just a few seconds because I want it to be tacky when I put this down. Kind of put that on a little crooked, so I'm going to try and... Nope, it won't let me slide it. I let it dry a few seconds too long. So we're going to line it up a little better this time. There we go. Alright, and just smooth it so you don't have big old wrinkles. All the way around. I think I probably didn't put enough glue. I'm trying to use this toothpick. There. This is not staying down. There we go. It's a little better. Okay. So now that it's on there nice and tight, this side. And I don't think I'm going to need my sewing clips because this is holding pretty well. I do have more wrinkles in here than I would like, but I think that's okay. I just want it nice and shiny, so. Roll it under. I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, except I want gold on the outside. There we go. So I'm going to trace it again. Try not to touch that silver that I have. Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking is if I angle it right, nobody's going to notice that it's got the little wrinkles on there. So that's what I'm hoping. So I'm just trying to fix something in OBS really quick. I'm going to turn that down. Okay. Oh, okay, so I have to do it this way. Okay. This other music was a little bit louder. I just had to fix that. Okay, so yeah, same thing. I'm gonna cut it. Just close enough to get the purple line. These kits are so cool. Casey really put some nice stuff together for us. I love doing things like this with unconventional materials. Get these little foil scraps all out of the way here. Alright, so this one's going to go on this way, and it's going to cover that little overlap up so that you just have a nice even edge. I actually bought this glue for doing doll shoes. because it's quick dry, but it dries just slow enough that if you leave it for a few seconds, it gets good and tacky, and you can kind of shift your stuff around if you need to, if you don't get it laid down perfectly the first time. But you don't have to sit there holding it for an hour waiting for it to dry. It's really good glue for that. Okay. With the hollow paper, it's hard to tell where the glue is going down, though. All I see is the hollow paper underneath it. Try and line this up just right. Alright. And you just smooth it all out again. Just go all the way around and smooth it out. Oh, I left one of the edges a little bit long. You trim that before it dries. There we go. Alright, so I've got silver on one side and gold on the other. This is what I think is going to be the tricky bit, because this is not a straight edge. But, I'm just going to try. Yeah, I normally sketch things like this out, but I just kind of started doing things and playing with it and kind of seeing what worked. And one of the things that I did the other day made I put all of my googly eyes on these sequins, so now I have these sparkly googly eyes. And I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but as soon as I got that image in my head of the googly eyes stuck onto the sequins, that was it. It was happening. So I think my best bet may be to just cut strips and get a tape measure. So I think, yeah, I'm just gonna, this is my tape measure, by the way. I think I'm gonna measure the widest point. Oh wow, I cut that perfect. That's right on the 30. Alright, so yeah, I think I'm gonna mark myself out a little 30-centimeter strip. Isn't that cute? I got that for Christmas a couple years ago. I love it. Yeah. Alright, figure out how tall I need to make this. Alright, so about 4.5-ish. More than 4.5. Just do 5. And then I can cut away what I don't need. This is not a perfect line here. Hold on. To measure this better up here. By this much. This works. Then I'll just do another strip the same size. But I have an idea of how I think I can make this work. Yeah, it's definitely harder to lose this guy. Oh no, we got a little twisted. There we go. Okay, so I think if I, oops, silver on the inside. If I catch it at the top, then I can kind of cut it and overlap that way, and I think that'll work. So I'm gonna go. Ugh, my glue is leaking. Do a strip around the top here. The uneven edge at the top. Worst case scenario, this doesn't work and I can just rip it off. And I think if I actually cut it into strips, that might work better now that I'm looking at it. Cut it into little squares. I'll get the top down and then figure out how to overlap the bottom to make it work. Oops, I'm going to have to cut one more because the way that I did this. They're now not quite long enough, but I think this is going to work out. So I'll just cut another little rectangle here. Just freshen up this top layer of glue. Alright. Give this a second to start drying and adhering. Get glue underneath these little overlaps that I did. I think it's probably going to be easier to get these to stick on the outside than on the inside. Just because of the bowl shape in general and the fact that this is not wanting to stay flat. Because it's not really paper, it's sort of foil. I don't know if you got this in your box, but it's really, it's really pretty. It's really cool. And I'm definitely committed to using it. I just have to figure out how to make it work with what I have imagined for it. So I think what I'm going to need to do Yeah, it's definitely going to work out better cut into little strips like that. So I think I'm even going to cut down the middle of the strips that I did, just so I have more to work with. And I sort of just have to fold them over themselves. Yeah, see there, when I do that, they're laying basically flat. Yeah, you could gather, but what I'm hoping to do is to get it to lay really flat. I don't want it to look gathered, you know? So I think by doing this, I can glue it down almost like doing darts versus gathering, where it'll lay over top of itself and then it'll sort of, there we go, flatten kind of. So I almost want it to look like a metallic satellite dish, as goofy as that sounds. But that's sort of the look that I'm going for here. Very 1950s B-movie kind of alien look. So I'm going to start under each strip. Just sort of hold it until it stays. And I did get a little bit of extra, so let me just trim it a little bit before the glue dries, so that it'll sit nice and flush against the other layer here. And where's my rag? Getting gluey fingers. Yes, exactly. The metallic will sort of hide where the cuts are, because it's a very, very reflective metallic. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the neck and fold that over. Just fold this whole corner bit. And then when I do the gold on the outside, that'll hide the overlap again. Alright, so I'm going to go on to the next one. I need to cut it before I put the glue on. I wonder if this would be easier to cut with my little thread snippers, so I can get into that corner a little better. Yeah, that worked out much better. Okay, now that I got that, smooth it down. Yeah, see, and then you can't really, it's very hard to see unless you're looking for it, exactly where that little cut line is once they're stuck together. I think I may actually cut this one in half because it's a bigger square. I think it's just going to hide a little better if I do two smaller ones. I don't want them to be totally regular, because the more irregular they are, the less obvious it's going to be that there's overlaps. This isn't sticking as well at the top as I would like. Take a little extra glue in here. It's wanting to move a little too much. So I'm just going to hold it for a second. Oh no, go away. My computer's trying to restart. Update later. I'm using it right now. Alright. Oh, I didn't trim it. Oops. That's okay. I'll do it before I stick it down. Let's take this bit off of there. Probably could have trimmed more of it off, but I think it'll be okay. Yeah, this is where I think it's going to be easier on the outside than the inside, because it just doesn't want to stick. It's got the two convex or concave areas, which are less obvious on the outside, and I think that's probably going to be easier to get them to stay down. I may end up doing another silver on the bottom just to cover where all of these are. It might be easier than trimming them. Do another one. It's coming out. Scooch this one over to the side to hide where the glue started to come out. Let's see where this one's going to lay. Oops, pulled it a little too hard. There we go. I don't think I'm going to be able to get them in here without any wrinkles at all. So I think if I can at least get the wrinkles all kind of in the middle in this area, it'll at least look intentional. that too far over. Let's do this. Oh no. The glue took the foil off. It's alright. I'll just glue another one on top of it. Well, I'm going to make this work because I have this idea in my head and I'm committed to it. I don't want to... The glue is... it's quick hold. It's not E6000, but it's made by the same company that makes E6000. So it was recommended to me for doll shoes when I was making them for the 18-inch dolls. I kind of want to try to make them for Blythe dolls, but they're so tiny I'm not sure. But yeah, it's a quick dry, but it's not like so quick dry that you can't manipulate it once it's on your surface. So I like it because it gets nice and tacky really quick, but if you don't get something put down exactly where you want it, you can still have a second to... Oh, I just put the glue on the silver side. I gotta pay attention to what I'm doing here. I'll just put that over there. Kind of another strip here. Yeah, it's tacky, but you can still like move it around if you need to. Yeah, that'll cover my little mistake area. It's really it's thick too, so if you're using it in between surfaces where you need it to fill in gaps, it'll do that pretty effectively. I want to cover my little boo-boo area first before I worry about getting the top of it. Yeah, no problem. That's what I'm here for. Oops, did I slide this too far down? Put that back. Why is this suddenly broken? Alright, it's not important. This is more important. Oh, this is getting messy. Yeah, so if you look for it, I think if you search for Quick Hold E6000, this is what should come up. So it's sort of just an all-purpose craft glue as opposed to an industrial glue. Still smells pretty bad, not gonna lie, but it's not quite as fumey as E6000. stick the next one down. This piece just doesn't want to stay for whatever reason. I'm going to need to put another layer at the top because it's just wanting to peel all the way off. I don't want to touch this glue with my hands because it's getting all over my fingers. Let's see if I can get this piece to stay now. Alright, almost done with the inside anyway. Kind of trying to watch the glue from the other side as I smooth it down. Keep too much of it from bleeding out. Just sort of work it towards the inside instead. It seems to be working pretty well, so I'm gonna get this last little piece. Almost done. Right. I'm going to trim a little bit off of here. And fold over. Oh, I pulled it too much. Let's let it go back a little bit. Okay. Need to put a little notch here so this part can be flat on the inside. It's not quite reaching underneath. Hold this little corner down for a second. All right. I'm gonna go around and flip all of these top bits under, or over actually. Just sort of roll them. Getting a little bit messy, but that's okay because I have a plan for this top that it's not really going to be super visible anyway. I'm going to be putting this cool tinsel around all of these edges here. This little bit around the edges here. I think this is probably going to be the hardest part of it for me because under the little cloak, the part that I'm going to use for the dress is this bit, which is a plastic tablecloth, which is going to be a lot easier to work with. You can pretty much just sew it like it's fabric, as long as you sew by hand and carefully so that you don't tear it. It's going to be a lot easier to work with. Sticking these little extra bits down. Yeah, so that's sort of what you end up with. And I'm going to cut another circle so I can cover all of those bits. And then I gotta do the outside, and I think I'm gonna do the outside the same way. And then all I have left to figure out is the actual cloak, which is pretty much just gonna be laying the body down and tracing a shape, and then figuring out how I'm gonna attach it. And I think I'm probably just gonna attach it around the circle here, and then add another piece of this tinsel on that. And I'm thinking I'm gonna do, I want it to stand up like this. So I have some of the pieces that I got are these little kind of iridescent gems. And I think if I put one of these at each side, because they're pretty heavy, that'll hold it like this. And then I can put little ties for the cloak in each corner. And I haven't seen anybody else doing a cloak, so I'm kind of excited that mine might be unique. Let's see what I'm doing. have to trace the inside. Oops. Don't run away from me. There we go. Still too much. Okay. Okay. The glue is taking some of the gold out. I don't know if that's going to be a problem. I don't hate it. It doesn't look bad. Maybe I can work with that. Cut more little rectangles. To get around the parts that have holes in them. Scraps out of my way here. That's good for now. These. Trim this down. just so this bit is out of the way. I can trim it neater later. So I'm going to do basically the same thing that I just did, but on the outside. Smooth it down. It's not coming all the way up to the edge. Get my body out of the way here. So weird. It's doing the same thing on this. It's taking the gold out. I don't know if I can, I don't know if that's picking up on the camera, but it's leaching the gold out. I've never had it pull color out before. That's really odd. I don't hate it though. I kind of like the way it looks, if I'm being honest. Kind of neat. So I think I'm just going to roll with it. Let's put it right onto this one. Clean this tip off a little bit. That's the one downside to this glue. It just becomes snot on the tip after a while. You gotta constantly clean it off. But it's filling in the little space in these curves pretty well. So I'm gonna keep glomping on the extra glue in that area since that's working. And it's holding close enough up to the edges that I can cover these bits up here and down here with the tinsel, and it'll look good, I think. I hope. Some of the looks that were posted already are just, they're pretty impressive, so I don't know. There's stiff competition for sure. Get this corner. There we go. Yeah, it is pulling, it's pulling the gold out again. That's, huh. Wonder what's doing that. I mean, I've used this glue on a lot of materials before and it's never taken color out. It's really weird. These aren't hiding as well on the outside because of where it's taking the glue off, so I may come up with something to hide my little seams here at some point. Don't pull it too hard. I don't want it to come off of that edge. Oh, music ended. I think that means I'm hitting about the 2-hour mark. So I'm gonna finish gluing these little squares on, and then I think that's gonna be the end of it for today. It's about my goal is to get a couple hours per stream. Everything that I looked up said that that's about the limit that you want to have on the shorter end if you want to get consistent viewers on your channel. And that's about all I think I want to edit afterwards, because I'm going to edit this and put it on YouTube as well. I think that's about the length of where my patience is going to be capping out for editing a YouTube video. Just want to snip this little bit that's not glued down just so it's out of the way. So yeah, I'm going to put these last probably 3 squares on. Then I think I'm going to call it a day. This is going pretty well, actually. Just want to restart some music here so it's not totally silent while I'm gluing. That's another one. Okay. I don't know if that's even coming through. I do have it on, but there we go. Almost there. I probably should have turned this the other way because of the shape of it, but too late now. Glue leaked a little bit. I think it's probably alright. Ah, my finger's sticking. I might have leaked more glue than I realized. Whoopsies. So I wasn't going to decorate the outside, but just because I do have these visible seams now, I may have to come up with something. At least if I want my piece to be on par with the others that have been posted so far. There are some very skilled people in the group who have already been sharing what they're working on. Of course, it's all in fun, but it is also a competition, so I do want to do well. Especially since turning things into other things is kind of my area of expertise. I kind of feel like I gotta do well, otherwise I'm letting myself down. Okay. Can I fit just one more, or is it gonna need, I think it's probably gonna need a couple. Let's try turning it this way. Nope. Just barely not big enough. Just gonna need 2. Just barely. Oh well. Oh, yeah. This is my second Blythe versus Blythe, but it's the first time I'm entering anything. So it's definitely hi Hut Armories. Yeah, it's definitely a little intimidating. There's a lot of talent in that group. It is a very well stacked group. But you know, it's fun competition because everybody is very welcoming and encouraging and happy to share skills, which, you know, that's why I kind of started streaming here, because I want to share the things that I do because I have fun doing them and I know other people would like to learn. And I don't believe in hoarding your skills. I know in some doll communities that's a thing where they don't like to share their own methods and techniques for things, and I just think that that's ridiculous. I am always happy to share. I'm not worried about other people, you know. If somebody else wants to do the same stuff I do and they end up doing better at it, they were always going to be better. It's just a matter of, you know, they would have figured it out on their own and I'm just helping them along. And I would rather help them and, you know, possibly build a lifelong friendship that I could potentially learn from them in the future instead of shutting them out of pride. I don't think I'm the best at anything I do. I think I'm very talented, but I don't think that I'm the best at anything. And that's kind of the attitude that it feels to me like when you say, I don't want to share the way that I do something. It's like you're saying that you're better than other people. And I don't think that that's really true. I think there's always going to be somebody better. And you should try to improve yourself based on yourself and not based on where other people are. Because I'm fairly new to a lot of this. Like, I've been making dolls a few years, but you know, I'm still, even after years, I'm still newer than a lot of people. And oh, yeah, I do. I totally forgot to put the pictures of my shirts up. I'll get on that. This is a really busy month for me. I took on a lot this month. Probably more than I should have, but I'll get to that. I will. If I don't, if you stalk my Facebook profile and you see the link to my business, I have an album for the t-shirts that are on there. So yeah, you can see. But that's a thing too, is I started sharing how I made my shirts. I used to be one of those people way back in the day when I ran my t-shirt business that I wouldn't tell people how I did things because they were my methods, and you know, I do this, and I thought I was so unique, but truthfully I wasn't. So now that I'm not doing them anymore, I'm more than happy to share every single little thing, every skill, and every method that I used to hoard. It's all fair game now. Anybody who wants to know, I will share everything because it's just it's more fun if you don't turn it into a competition like that. And, you know, one of the reasons I stopped doing it is because I stopped enjoying it, and I feel like that probably had a lot to do with why. Because I tried to make myself exclusive like all the other people did, instead of trying to build a community. Whereas when I started doing the doll things, it was always about building a community for me. I don't hoard my skills anymore. And I've found a lot more enjoyment from it that way. Alright. And I think this piece is done for now. So I actually kind of like how it pulled some of the gold out. It doesn't look like an accident. It almost looks like it's kind of sort of tie-dye. I think that's sort of neat. So I can probably work with that. I got all of these other pieces that I haven't even started playing with yet. I got some of these. Not sure what I'm going to do with them yet. But I had a thought for the other piece that I think I'm going to come up with a new plan, because the thought I had for this one was to cut it down the middle and take a circle out and make it a skirt. But I had such a hard time cutting the other bowl that I don't think I want to do that a second time. So now I'm thinking I may do sort of an umbrella and use these to dangle down some sparkly eyeballs. So yeah, that's my plan that I've got so far. And then again, under the cloak, I'm going to make this into a dress. And I found out kind of by accident that this Obitsu body that I bought randomly on eBay, she's got magnet feet. So I can stick her on top of my magnetic pin cushion and just drape this around her so I can get my pieces cut out to make a dress, because she'll just stand up because she has magnet feet. So yeah. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for today. I'm on my schedule, and this is the plan for the future, is art streams every Tuesday. So yeah, they're a little awkward. The weirdest thing that I discovered is that every single little piece comes apart and has a peg on it. And I did not know that. The hands come out and have pegs on them. The body comes apart and it has pegs. Like, it's very strange. And I've never had an Obitsu body, but this one was on sale for about $20. And I was like, $20, man. I just gotta see what this is about. Like, even this above the elbow comes out and has a peg. Isn't that weird? They're so goofy, but you know, it's a nice body for a sewing model, even though it's a little smaller than the other ones, so it won't fit everything perfectly. I can stand those magnet feet on my magnet pin cushion and just have a body to drape around. So yeah, all right. So anyway, I do have to I gotta start cleaning because my table here is becoming a disaster. So I'm gonna call it a day. I'll be doing another art stream next Tuesday. I'm not sure what I'll be doing yet, because I'm hoping to have all of the alien dolls ready to actually start painting on. So I may turn this up since I'm actually speaking now. So I might be doing those on the stream and finishing them on a stream. I may be doing more of these pieces, and I don't know, I might show some of my sewing for my showcase. It depends on where I'm at with everything. But it'll be next Tuesday, starting around the same time, so around 2:30ish Eastern time. And then I also have on my schedule, I missed the last one because we were having a windstorm and I didn't have a strong enough internet signal to stream, but my gaming streams will be on Thursday at 9 p.m. I'm going to do them at night. I'm going to try and scare myself with some horror games. I figured out how to do a face cam overlay, so I will have a face cam for those, and those are going to be Thursdays. So far, those are the only 2 days I have planned to be streaming, because I'm really just doing this for fun. Like, I'm not trying to make it a job or anything. So yeah, Tuesdays for art streams in the afternoon, and then Thursdays, Thursdays horror gaming streams. So you can watch me scare myself and be terrible at video games. Alright, so that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. hopefully I'll see you guys in another stream. Bye.